Kia ora, good evening. A potentially life-threatening shark attack on Friday night left a man with severe lacerations and puncture wounds to his right leg, but he says the attack won't stop him surfing in the future. Like a scene from a horror movie, surfer Darren Mills was lucky to escape with his life following the shark attack on Friday night at popular Curio Bay in the Catlins.
I was paddling back sort of across the back of the surf and felt a big thump from the shore side, and and then I looked round and it sort of, I could see a shark clamped down. And
just 15 minutes before the attack, it was described as serene, with dolphins playing close to surfers, giving no indication a shark was in the area.
Bang, it just hit him out of the blue. No indication it was coming. He managed, his best friend was nearby, he seen it happen, so he quickly was over at the guy's side. The guy managed to drag himself back onto his board and make his way to the shore.
It's not known what breed of shark attacked, but Mr Mills estimated its length at 2 to 3 metres.
The guy did actually say he thought it was a baby great white, had a guard him. Judging by the bite of the mark, it wasn't a massive shark, but it was definitely big enough to do some damage.
Surf instructor Nick Smart, who's also involved in search and rescue, was alerted by a friend on the beach that something terrible had happened.
Initially we're not sure whether his bleeds were arteries cut or not, so he actually could have bled to death, but luckily it wasn't arteries cut. But not saying he was lucky or anything, but the main thing is he is alive and he will surf another day.
Safely back on land, Mills was quickly treated and emergency services were called.
Luckily there was an off-duty doctor and an off-duty nurse just happened to be vacationing here, so they were there within 5 minutes giving assistance.
The shark attack incident was followed by a textbook rescue, which included Mills being helicoptered to Southland Hospital.
Very, very, very good response from emergency services. Textbook stuff really couldn't have gone better.
Despite wearing a thick wetsuit, Mills suffered 4 deep lacerations, and news of the attack spread quickly amongst those in the area.
People in the water, they were out, everybody wanted to know what was going on. Then later on that night, people were still coming to the shop to see what had happened. Then the next day, people that were going to stay didn't stay. We had people come to the shop all day asking us what was going on. We didn't really know. All we knew was what happened that night.
Handmade signs were erected to warn people, but came down today, and it was back to business at the surf school and the reassurance of dolphins for company.
But I do feel very safe having dolphins around me. That particular night there wasn't any dolphins in our vicinity. They were maybe 200 metres further up the beach, so no dolphins around us then, so the sharks, and he came, I guess.
It's like anything. When you're out there surfing, swimming, you never know what's out there. And if that whole sea was to drain, you'd be surprised what would be out there, I think. Yeah.
This is the second shark attack reported in southern waters so far this year, but it's a first for the Catlins.
I hope I don't see one in this bay again, and pretty confident I won't, because as I said, first shark attack ever in the Catlins, and there's been people surfing and diving and swimming here since time began almost. Even the local Māori people, when they lived here, it was a very popular beach for them.
Margot Sutherland, South Today News. Spending for the first month of 2014 can be best described as positive but patchy, according to the latest figures from New Zealand's leading payments provider Paymark. Paymark's data highlights that while the total value of January spending through its network was up 7.9%, there are some mixed trends and also a hint that momentum may be waning in some parts of the country. Mark Spice, head of customer relations at Paymark, says after a big finish in 2013, it's good to see that some regions and retailers are continuing to feel the momentum associated with the general economic recovery. Ideal conditions prevailed for the annual Surf to City fun run, with almost 3,000 walking, running and riding the course into the city. There are options for all fitness levels, with the main event being the 12-kilometre course from Reti Beach to Queen's Gardens and another shorter 6-kilometre option departing Currans Road. The first male contestant made it in good time to Feldwick Gates, finishing in just under 3/4 of an hour, the first female runner crossing the line 5 minutes behind. In a move to get more community involvement in the event, organisers offered competitors a bus ride to the start from not only the city centre but also South City. And the weather may have postponed it last month, but this time the Summer Series concert did go ahead in South City yesterday. The crowd was treated to performances by rockers Copper Avenger and The Bro, along with popular artist Kip Tapuna. Also performing were support act RAP. The concert was part of the Summer Series of concerts organised by Venture Southland and supported by the Creative New Zealand Community Scheme.
My baby just cares for me.
Stay with us after the break. More from the weekend, including terrier racing, amongst other things, at the Tuatapere AMP show. Welcome back. The 75th edition of the Tuatapere AMP show was held on Saturday, and the continued interest in the rural communities showcase is pleasing to organisers. Hunter Andrews was there.
There has been a Tuatapere AMP show almost every year since 1931, and well, the circumstances for not staging the event over the years were certainly not trivial.
The first was the World War II.
That's a good reason.
It's a good reason, yeah. The polio epidemic in the late 1940s, and there's been a few years that the grounds here have been underwater.
For Richard Adams, the show is more than just a yearly event, it's in his blood.
My mother and father were both past presidents of the AMP show, so I've been coming to working bees and AMP shows for longer than I can remember. And I was brought up riding a horse, so I've done many a show here on horseback.
Southland District Mayor Gary Tong is no stranger to the AMP show in Tuatapere, attending his first when newly appointed as the district's sole charge police officer in the mid-1980s.
I was first here in '85, and I must say the crowd's down a little bit, but I'm sure the organisers will be very happy with the crowd that's here.
You look at the crowd here today and there's always a place for them. People like to come and show off what their animals are like, what they can do.
The traditional Grand Parade was the real draw card and a chance to see the hounds of the hunt in action. It was not only the hounds having all the fun, the terriers got into the action with a race that seemed to have even the competitors confused.
Old terrier race behind the hare. There was certainly one good winner there, that's for sure.
I have to say that's the first one I've seen race.
Well done. I think the favourites had a bit of trouble arguing at the line, but yeah, it's good.
There are, of course, all those fun events city dwellers seldom get to experience, but there is also an element of commerce that's not entirely been drawn away by the bigger agricultural field days.
A lot of people are here with, like a lot of farmers, with their sheep, stud breeders, not so many these days, but they've always used the AMP show as a sort of a vehicle to show off their wares, yes.
Brings everybody together. You have that camaraderie amongst the neighbours, you know, they fight for the next 12 months now and say my lamb's going to beat yours, my Jersey cow, whatever. So yeah, it brings together, it's great.
And if you miss the Tuatapere event, then don't despair. The Invercargill AMP show is at Donovan Park, Saturday, March the 1st. Hunter Andrews, South Today News.
There was a lot on at Bluff the weekend with the Land's End Garden Club show and a book sale fundraiser. For the first year in its 11-year history, the Land's End Garden Club held their flower show at Te Rau Araha Marae on Saturday and Sunday. Organiser Elaine Petrie says the event was well attended and the blooms as magnificent as ever. The winning flower, a King Protea produced by Chris Hyman. Those attending the show also had the chance to make visits to members' gardens. Another reason for visiting Bluff at the weekend was a fundraising book sale where there was something for everyone, from books and periodicals to DVDs and puzzles. All funds raised at the sale are going towards projects in and around Bluff. Almost 230 people took to the challenge of the Stump the Hump Endurance Walk over the Hump Ridge track. The track is intended to be completed in 3 days, but this year's winner, 16-year-old Tom Slee, got there inside 12 hours. Hump Track Operations Manager Malcolm Darlison says the event proved as popular and as challenging as ever.
First guy in did it in 11 hours. It's not actually a race, it's just we call it an adventure walk, but obviously people being people, they're competitive.
That's right.
You know. So yeah, first guy 11 hours.
And that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, well, you know,
pretty good given previous races.
A long way to walk, and you know, a long way to walk in one stint, 11-hour walk. Yeah.
How many have you got on the track? How many have been competing?
The total amount was 226, I think, was the final tally. We had up to 241, then we had a few withdrawal and injuries and things before the event.
There is a limit, isn't there?
Yep, 250 is the cut-off for the amount we're allowed on the track at one time.
Why is that?
I think it's to do with concession and it's Dockland National Park. It's just to limit the limit the damage and disruption to the place.
And how has the summer been for the track?
It's been steady. Not the numbers have been down a bit through early January. I think the bad spell of weather we had affected that, but they're starting to pick up again now with the weather and yeah.
It's not as if people are going, look, we're just sick of doing really 3-day, really beautiful tracks.
No, I don't think so at all. I think a lot of it's to do with actually getting people to come down right down south here in the southwest corner and get away from the sort of mainstream stuff up, Milford and Te Anau and stuff, and get the word out that there's another one down here as well. That's what we're trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, is it hard to get that word out there? How are you doing that?
Getting there with obviously marketing and marketing overseas, marketing in different magazines and publications and online, but it's just we haven't got the sort of history of a lot of the other bigger tracks, so that's what we're trying to raise our profile, and get the word out there.
I mean, word of mouth would be a good one too.
Yep,
I mean, once you've done it, you wouldn't stop talking about it, would you?
I would imagine so. We get a lot of good feedback from people when they've done the track. This event's quite a lot about that with the Stump the Hump. The name itself gets people talking and wondering what it is, and a lot of people inquire for the next year, wanting to know what it's all about. So.
Yeah, are they mostly locals?
No, there's a lot of people from further afield than Invercargill and Southland. Yeah, they've come down for it. There's a few people from the North Island and Dunedin and Christchurch kicking around.
I heard someone say as they were finishing, someone else was walking out going, look, don't stop moving, keep moving afterwards.
Yeah, there's a bit of a saying called the Hump Bridge Shuffle, which is what people are doing when they come off this track, and I think today it's even more so, which is understandable too. Yeah, for sure.
The Otago University announced today it's become one of the major sponsors of the Highlanders Super 15 franchise. University of Otago Vice-Chancellor Professor Harleen Hayne says the decision to back the Highlanders Super Rugby competition franchise was based on many strong synergies with the high-profile team representing provinces south of the Waitaki, including Otago and Southland. The university's name will feature on the back of the Highlanders jersey, on the Medics bibs, and the university's logo will also be painted on the stadium field, as well as appearing on sideline digital signage during games at the Dunedin Stadium. The sponsorship deal is a first for a New Zealand university. And there is more sport coming up after the break, with highlights of the second warm-up match between the Highlanders and the Crusaders from Motueka. From us though, it's good night.